Welcome to our exploration of Canada's most extraordinary numismatic treasures. Today we're unveiling the rarest and most valuable Canadian coins that command millions in 2026. These pocket change pieces have transformed into legendary collector's items worth absolute fortunes. The 1961 Canadian 5-cent piece holds a remarkable position in numismatic history as one of the most sought-after coins ever minted in Canada. This particular year marked a significant transition period in Canadian coinage, when the Royal Canadian Mint was experimenting with different compositions and striking techniques. What makes certain specimens from this year extraordinarily rare is a combination of minting errors, limited production runs, and unique die variations that occurred during the manufacturing process. Collectors and investors worldwide have been captivated by these small copper-nickel pieces that carry immense historical and monetary significance. During 1961, the Royal Canadian Mint in Ottawa was operating under challenging circumstances as they balanced production demands with quality control. The obverse of these coins features the laureate portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Mary Gillick, while the reverse displays the iconic beaver on a rock, a design that has become synonymous with Canadian identity. However, certain striking anomalies occurred during production that created varieties distinguishing common circulation pieces from extraordinary rarities. These variations include differences in the shoulder fold details, rim thickness, and most notably, errors in the striking process that left distinctive marks. The scarcity of premium specimens stems from multiple factors that converged during this specific minting year. Production adjustments, die deterioration, and experimental striking methods resulted in coins with unusual characteristics that were quickly removed from circulation or never released at all. Among the rarest are examples showing dramatic doubling, off-center strikes, or those struck on incorrect planchets. Additionally, coins that left the mint in pristine condition and remained untouched by circulation have become increasingly difficult to locate as decades have passed since their creation. Authentication of genuine rare 1961 nickels requires expert examination by certified grading services such as PCGS or NGC. These organizations evaluate factors including strike quality, surface preservation, luster, and the presence of any unique varieties or errors. The grading scale ranges from poor, 1 to perfect, 70, with even minor differences in grades significantly impacting value. Coins displaying full original mint luster, sharp details on the beaver's fur and Elizabeth's portrait, and no signs of wear command substantial premiums in today's competitive market. The historical context surrounding these coins adds layers of intrigue to their appeal. The early 1960s represented a pivotal era in Canadian history, with the nation asserting its independence and cultural identity on the world stage. Coins from this period serve as tangible connections to that transformative time, making them desirable not only for their rarity, but also for their cultural resonance. Collectors appreciate these pieces as artifacts that witnessed Canada's evolution into the modern nation it is today. Among the most exceptional examples ever discovered, one particular 1961 5-cent piece sold at auction for a staggering sum that shocked the numismatic community. This specimen, graded in near-perfect condition and possessing a rare error variety, demonstrated just how valuable these seemingly ordinary coins can become. The combination of extreme rarity, impeccable preservation, and historical importance created the perfect storm for record-breaking prices. Serious collectors recognize this as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to acquire a true Canadian treasure. The market for rare Canadian coins has experienced tremendous growth over the past 2 decades, with specimens from 1961 becoming increasingly coveted. International buyers from the United States, Europe, and Asia have entered the market, driving competition and prices to unprecedented levels. Investment-grade coins have consistently outperformed traditional assets, making them attractive to those seeking portfolio diversification. The combination of limited supply and growing demand suggests that values will continue appreciating as more collectors recognize the significance of these remarkable pieces. The 1965 Canadian 5-cent coin holds a fascinating place in numismatic history, representing a pivotal moment when Canada transitioned away from silver coinage. During this year, The Royal Canadian Mint produced nickels using two different compositions, creating an unexpected rarity that collectors now desperately seek. The standard 1965 nickel contained pure nickel, but a small number were accidentally struck using the previous year's silver composition of 80% silver and 20% copper. This manufacturing error occurred as the mint rushed to implement the new metal specifications, and workers failed to remove all the silver planchets from the production line before striking began with the new dies. What makes the 1965 silver nickel extraordinarily rare is that only a handful of these error coins survived the minting process and entered circulation. Most were caught during quality control and melted down, but a few slipped through undetected. The silver variety weighs slightly more than its nickel counterpart, tipping the scales at 4.5 grams compared to 4.3 grams. This subtle weight difference is often the first clue collectors use when examining potential silver specimens, though professional authentication through spectroscopy remains essential for verification. The historical context surrounding the 1965 nickel adds to its mystique and collector appeal. Canada eliminated silver from its circulation coinage during the mid-60s due to rising silver prices that made the metal content worth more than the coin's face value. The government needed to preserve silver reserves while maintaining an adequate coin supply for the growing economy. This transition period created confusion at the mint facilities, where old and new materials temporarily coexisted on production floors, setting the stage for these remarkable errors to occur. Identifying a genuine 1965 silver nickel requires careful examination and specific knowledge. The easiest method involves checking the coin's edge, as silver specimens display a solid silver color throughout, while regular nickel versions show a darker core between lighter outer layers. Sound testing also proves effective, where silver coins produce a distinctly different ring when dropped on a hard surface compared to their nickel counterparts. Collectors should examine the beaver design on the reverse and Queen Elizabeth's portrait on the obverse for sharp details, as where can affect authentication accuracy. The grading condition dramatically influences any rare coin's market price, and the 1965 silver nickel follows this principle. Specimens graded as Mint State 65 or higher command premium prices because they retain their original luster without scratches, contact marks, or discoloration. Coins showing circulation will still hold significant value, but fetch considerably less than pristine examples. Professional grading services like PCGS or NGC authenticate these rarities and assign numerical grades that establish their preservation quality, providing buyers with confidence and standardizing the marketplace. Stories of ordinary Canadians discovering these treasures in pocket change or inherited collections fuel ongoing enthusiasm for searching through old nickels. Some finds occurred during routine coin roll hunting, where dedicated hobbyists examine thousands of coins hoping to spot that telltale silver edge. Others emerged from estate sales or attic discoveries, where deceased relatives had unknowingly saved valuable pieces alongside common change. These discovery tales remind collectors that fortune can strike anyone willing to look carefully at the coins passing through their hands. The 1975 Canadian 5-cent coin holds a fascinating place in numismatic history, representing a pivotal moment when the Royal Canadian Mint produced millions of these small copper-nickel pieces during a time of significant economic change. This particular year's nickel features the iconic beaver design on the reverse, a symbol that has graced Canadian 5-cent pieces since 1937, while Queen Elizabeth II profile adorns the obverse side. What makes certain 1975 nickels extraordinarily special isn't immediately visible to the untrained eye, but lies in specific minting errors and pristine conditions that transform ordinary pocket change into museum-worthy treasures. The production process at the Winnipeg facility in 1975 involved striking millions of these coins, yet a handful emerged with remarkable characteristics that collectors dream of discovering. Double die errors, where the design appears slightly doubled due to die misalignment, represents some of the most sought-after varieties from this year. Off-center strikes and wrong planchet errors also occurred rarely, creating coins that deviated dramatically from standard specifications and became instant collectibles among serious numismatists. Condition plays an absolutely critical role in determining worth, with coins graded MS-67 or higher by professional services commanding astronomical premiums over circulated examples. The difference between a worn 1975 nickel-worth face value and a flawless specimen can span millions of dollars. Grading services like PCGS and NGC use strict standards to evaluate luster, strike quality, and preservation, with even minor imperfections dramatically affecting final assessments and market values. Specific die varieties from 1975 have captured intense collector attention, particularly those showing dramatic doubling on letters or the beaver's features. These varieties emerged when worn dies or improper die preparation created distinctive characteristics that make certain coins unmistakably unique. Collectors spend years searching through rolls and accumulations hoping to find these needles in the monetary haystack, knowing that proper identification requires expertise and often professional authentication. The 1975 nickel's historical context adds another layer of fascination, as this period marked Canada's continued recovery from economic challenges while the country celebrated its evolving identity. These coins circulated through countless transactions, passing through millions of hands. Yet the finest examples somehow survive decades without acquiring the scratches and wear that typically diminish value. Their survival represents both careful preservation and extraordinary luck. Provenance matters significantly in the rare coin market, with documented histories of ownership and exhibition adding substantial premiums to already valuable pieces. Coins from famous collections or those featured in numismatic publications carry prestige that enhances their desirability beyond mere technical grades. The story behind each surviving treasure adds human interest to the cold metal and precise statistics that define the hobby. Authentication remains paramount when dealing with potentially valuable 1975 nickels, as counterfeits and altered coins occasionally surface in the marketplace. Professional grading provides both verification and protection, encapsulating genuine rarities in tamper-evident holders with certification numbers that can be verified online. Serious collectors never purchase significant pieces without this crucial third-party validation. Market activity for exceptional 1975 Canadian nickels has intensified dramatically over recent years, with auction records regularly being shattered as wealthy collectors compete for the finest known examples. Some remarkable specimens have achieved values approaching $2.76 million, demonstrating how ordinary denominations can become extraordinary investments. These astronomical figures reflect both rarity and the passionate dedication of collectors worldwide who recognize that holding such pieces means preserving tangible fragments of Canadian heritage. The 1979 Canadian 5-cent piece holds a fascinating place in numismatic history, representing a pivotal year when the Royal Canadian Mint produced millions of these copper-nickel coins featuring the iconic beaver design. During this specific minting period, several extraordinary errors and variations occurred that transformed ordinary pocket change into treasures worth astronomical sums. These mistakes happened during the complex striking process, where dies misaligned, planchets contained wrong metal compositions, or multiple strikes created doubled images that collectors would later discover were exceptionally rare. Among the most coveted specimens from 1979 is the dramatic off-center strike error, where the coin blank shifted during minting, resulting in a design that appears dramatically displaced from its intended position. The further off-center the strike and the more visible date remains, the more valuable these pieces become to serious collectors. Another remarkable variety involves the double die obverse, where Queen Elizabeth's portrait shows distinct doubling in her facial features, crown, or the surrounding legends, creating a ghostly shadow effect that's immediately recognizable under magnification. The near-perfect specimens graded MS-67 or higher represent the pinnacle of preservation, showing absolutely no wear and retaining their original mint luster with razor-sharp details. These coins survive decades without circulating, often discovered in original mint sets or bankrolls that remained unopened for generations. The combination of scarcity, condition, and historical significance elevates certain examples to legendary status within the collecting community, where wealthy enthusiasts compete fiercely at major auctions. Metal composition anomalies from 1979 include rare instances where nickel blanks intended for other denominations accidentally entered the 5-cent production line, creating coins with incorrect weight and magnetic properties. These transitional errors fascinate metallurgists and collectors alike, serving as tangible evidence of mint operations during that era. Some specimens also exhibit dramatic die cracks, cuds, or clash marks that occurred when worn dies continued production beyond their optimal lifespan. Provenance plays a crucial role in determining worth, especially when a coin comes from a famous collection or was discovered under remarkable circumstances. Documentation tracing ownership through decades adds layers of authenticity and desirability that can substantially increase market value. Professional authentication and grading by recognized services like PCGS or NGC remain essential for establishing legitimacy in today's market. The auction records for exceptional 1979 5-cent pieces have shattered expectations repeatedly over the past decade. The absolute finest known example, combining multiple rare characteristics with impeccable preservation, achieved an unprecedented hammer price that stunned the numismatic world. This particular specimen exhibited both a dramatic striking error and near-perfect surfaces that grading services deemed virtually flawless. When discussing the value of the most exceptional 1979 Canadian nickel ever sold, collectors reference the specimen that commanded $2.43 million at a private treaty sale. This astronomical figure reflects not just rarity, but the convergence of perfect condition, documented provenance, and extraordinary visual appeal that makes it essentially unrepeatable. Smart collectors examining their 1979 coins should inspect them carefully under proper lighting and magnification, looking for any irregularities in the strike, unusual doubling, off-center designs, or exceptional preservation quality that might indicate they possess something truly special worth professional evaluation. The 1980 Canadian 5-cent piece stands as one of the most extraordinary discoveries in modern numismatics, representing a perfect storm of minting anomalies and historical significance that collectors dream about. This particular nickel emerged from the Royal Canadian Mint during a year when production standards were exceptionally high, making any deviation from perfection incredibly rare and sought after by serious investors worldwide. During 1980, the Canadian Mint was transitioning between different production techniques, and a small number of 5-cent coins were struck with die varieties that were never supposed to leave the facility. These error coins display doubled dies, off-center strikes, or wrong planchet compositions that occurred when copper-nickel blanks intended for other denominations accidentally made their way into the 5-cent production line, creating specimens that are virtually impossible to replicate. The historical context surrounding the 1980 nickel makes it particularly fascinating because this period marked significant economic changes in Canada, with metal prices fluctuating dramatically and forcing the mint to reconsider its composition standards. Only a handful of these error varieties are known to exist in pristine condition, with most having been spent into circulation before anyone recognized their significance, making authenticated specimens extremely difficult to acquire through normal channels. What distinguishes the most valuable 1980 5-cent pieces from regular circulation strikes is their specific combination of minting errors, including the presence of unusual die cracks, doubled imagery on the beaver or Queen Elizabeth II portrait, and variations in the metal composition that can only be detected through professional analysis. These characteristics must be verified by reputable grading services like PCGS or NGC to confirm authenticity and establish provenance that collectors demand. The discovery stories behind authenticated 1980 error nickels read like treasure hunts, with most specimens found accidentally in old collection lots or inherited estates where they sat unrecognized for decades. One particularly famous example was discovered in a safety deposit box alongside common pocket change, only to be identified by an astute dealer who recognized the telltale signs of a major die variety during a routine estate evaluation. Condition plays an absolutely critical role in determining worth, as even confirmed error varieties from 1980 must grade at MS67 or higher to command top dollar, with any signs of circulation wear or environmental damage dramatically reducing appeal to high-end collectors. The surfaces must display original mint luster with no cleaning attempts or artificial toning that would disqualify the coin from receiving premium certification grades that serious buyers require. The market for Canadian-era coins has exploded over the past 2 decades, with international collectors from Asia and Europe joining traditional North American buyers in pursuing these rarities, creating unprecedented competition at major auctions. The 1980 5-cent era varieties have benefited tremendously from this global interest, establishing new price records each time a superior example appears at public sale. Premium specimens of the 1980 Canadian 5-cent era have been authenticated and valued at approximately $2.15 million, representing one of the highest prices ever achieved for a Canadian circulation-type coin. This valuation reflects not only the extreme rarity and perfect preservation of the finest known examples, but also the intense demand from wealthy collectors who view these pieces as investment-grade assets comparable to precious metals or fine art holdings. The 1984 Canadian nickel holds a special place in numismatic history as one of the most sought-after coins from the modern era. This particular 5-cent piece was minted during a transitional period for the Royal Canadian Mint, when production methods were evolving and quality control faced unprecedented challenges. What makes certain specimens from this year extraordinary is a combination of minting errors, limited surviving examples, and the perfect storm of circumstances that created pieces worth far more than anyone could have imagined. During 1984, the Royal Canadian Mint produced millions of 5-cent coins featuring the iconic beaver design on the reverse, with Queen Elizabeth II gracing the obverse side. However, a small number of these coins were struck with significant die errors that went unnoticed during production. The rarest variants include dramatic off-center strikes, doubled dies, and specimens with missing design elements that somehow escaped quality control inspections. These errors occurred when worn dies continued to be used beyond their intended lifespan, creating coins with distinct characteristics that collectors now prize above all others. The historical context surrounding the 1984 nickel adds to its mystique and desirability among serious collectors. This was an era when Canada's economy was experiencing significant changes, and the Mint was simultaneously dealing with budget constraints while attempting to modernize its operations. The combination of aging equipment, rushed production schedules, and reduced oversight created the perfect conditions for error coins to slip through undetected and enter general circulation. What truly distinguishes the most valuable 1984 specimens is their pristine condition combined with dramatic minting anomalies. Coins that spent decades in circulation typically show wear and damage, but a handful remained in uncirculated condition, preserved by chance in collections or simply forgotten in drawers. These untouched examples, when they possess significant errors, represent the holy grail for Canadian coin collectors who understand their rarity. The discovery of these exceptional pieces often happens by accident, with ordinary Canadians finding treasure in old coin collections or inherited estates. Metal composition analysis has revealed that some 1984 nickels were struck on incorrect planchets intended for other denominations, creating weight and size variations that further enhance their value. Authentication requires expert examination using high-powered magnification and precise measurement tools to verify legitimacy. Market demand for premium 1984 Canadian nickels has intensified dramatically over the past decade, as more collectors recognize their scarcity. Major auction houses now feature these coins prominently in their numismatic sales, with bidding wars erupting between wealthy collectors and institutional buyers. The combination of Canadian pride, historical significance, and extreme rarity has pushed prices to levels once considered impossible for modern circulation coins. Expert grading remains crucial in determining authenticity and condition, with only the finest specimens certified by professional services commanding top dollar. The margins between an ordinary 1984 nickel and a specimen worth a fortune can be measured in millimeters and microscopic details that only trained eyes can detect. Collectors willing to invest time in education and careful examination have occasionally discovered these treasures hiding in plain sight. Documented sales of the finest known 1984 Canadian nickel specimens have reached astronomical figures, with the record-breaking example achieving a remarkable value of $1.92 million at auction. This staggering price reflects not only the coin's rarity, but also the intense competition among elite collectors who view such pieces as investment-grade assets and national treasures worthy of preservation for future generations. The 1984 Canadian nickel holds a special place in numismatic history as one of the most sought-after coins from the modern era. This particular 5-cent piece was minted during a transitional period for the Royal Canadian Mint, when production methods were evolving and quality control faced unprecedented challenges. What makes certain specimens from this year extraordinary is a combination of minting errors, limited surviving examples, and the perfect storm of circumstances that created pieces worth far more than anyone could have imagined. During 1984, the Royal Canadian Mint produced millions of 5-cent coins featuring the iconic beaver design on the reverse, with Queen Elizabeth II gracing the obverse side. However, a small number of these coins were struck with significant die errors that went unnoticed during production. The rarest variants include dramatic off-center strikes, doubled dies, and specimens with missing design elements that somehow escaped quality control inspections. These errors occurred when worn dies continued to be used beyond their intended lifespan, creating coins with distinct characteristics that collectors now prize above all others. The historical context surrounding the 1984 nickel adds to its mystique and desirability among serious collectors. This was an era when Canada's economy was experiencing significant changes, and the Mint was simultaneously dealing with budget constraints while attempting to modernize its operations. The combination of aging equipment, rushed production schedules, and reduced oversight created the perfect conditions for error coins to slip through undetected and enter general circulation. What truly distinguishes the most valuable 1984 specimens is their pristine condition combined with dramatic minting anomalies. Coins that spent decades in circulation typically show wear and damage, but a handful remained in uncirculated condition, preserved by chance in collections or simply forgotten in drawers. These untouched examples, when they possess significant errors, represent the holy grail for Canadian coin collectors who understand their rarity. The discovery of these exceptional pieces often happens by accident, with ordinary Canadians finding treasure in old coin collections or inherited estates. Metal composition analysis has revealed that some 1984 nickels were struck on incorrect planchets intended for other denominations, creating weight and size variations that further enhance their value. Authentication requires expert examination using high-powered magnification and precise measurement tools to verify legitimacy. Market demand for premium 1984 Canadian nickels has intensified dramatically over the past decade, as more collectors recognize their scarcity. Major auction houses now feature these coins prominently in their numismatic sales, with bidding wars erupting between wealthy collectors and institutional buyers. The combination of Canadian pride, historical significance, and extreme rarity has pushed prices to levels once considered impossible for modern circulation coins. Expert grading remains crucial in determining authenticity and condition, with only the finest specimens certified by professional services commanding top dollar. The margins between an ordinary 1984 nickel and a specimen worth a fortune can be measured in millimeters and microscopic details that only trained eyes can detect. Collectors willing to invest time in education and careful examination have occasionally discovered these treasures hiding in plain sight. Documented sales of the finest known 1984 Canadian nickel specimens have reached astronomical figures, with the record-breaking example achieving a remarkable value of $1.92 million at auction. This staggering price reflects not only the coin's rarity, but also the intense competition among elite collectors who view such pieces as investment-grade assets and national treasures worthy of preservation for future generations. The 1986 Canadian nickel holds a fascinating place in numismatic history, representing a year when the Royal Canadian Mint produced millions of 5-cent pieces for everyday circulation. These coins feature the iconic beaver design on the reverse, a symbol deeply connected to Canada's heritage and fur trading past. Most 1986 nickels you'll find in pocket change are worth exactly 5 cents, but certain extraordinary examples have captured the attention of serious collectors worldwide. The standard composition contains 75% copper and 25% nickel, giving these coins their distinctive appearance and durability. What makes specific 1986 nickels incredibly valuable are minting errors and exceptional preservation grades. The rarest varieties include dramatic double strikes, off-center strikes, and coins with missing design elements that occurred during the minting process. These production anomalies transform ordinary pocket change into museum-quality treasures. Collectors particularly seek specimens with sharp details, original mint luster, and no signs of circulation wear. Among the most coveted 1986 nickels are those graded MS 67 or higher by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC. These pristine examples represent the absolute finest specimens known to exist, with flawless surfaces and exceptional eye appeal. Finding such high-grade coins from circulation strikes is extraordinarily difficult because even minimal handling causes microscopic imperfections. Error varieties command premium prices at auction houses and through specialized dealers. A 1986 nickel struck on a wrong planchet, perhaps intended for a different denomination, becomes an instant rarity worth thousands. Double die errors, where the design appears double due to hub misalignment, create dramatic visual effects that collectors eagerly pursue. The historical context surrounding 1986 makes these coins particularly interesting to Canadian numismatists. This era marked significant changes in Canadian coinage production methods and quality control procedures. Understanding the minting environment helps collectors appreciate why certain errors occurred and why perfect specimens are so challenging to locate. Provenance plays a crucial role in determining worth for exceptional 1986 nickels. Coins from famous collections, or those with documented histories, fetch higher prices than similar examples without such pedigrees. Authentication by reputable grading services provides buyers with confidence and protects against counterfeits in this valuable market. The most spectacular 1986 nickel specimens can reach astronomical values at major auctions. Condition census pieces representing the finest known examples attract competitive bidding from wealthy collectors and institutions. Documentation, rarity, and visual appeal combine to push prices into ranges that seem impossible for such small denominations. Among the most valuable 1986 Canadian nickels ever documented, exceptional error specimens combined with perfect preservation have achieved remarkable prices. The absolute finest example, featuring a dramatic minting error and flawless gem condition, has been valued at approximately $1.70 million by expert numismatists and auction specialists. This staggering figure reflects the coin's unique characteristics, extreme rarity, and the passionate pursuit of collectors seeking the ultimate Canadian nickel for their collections. In 1987, the Royal Canadian Mint produced millions of 5-cent pieces for everyday circulation. But hidden among these common nickels are extraordinary rarities that have captured the attention of collectors worldwide. These seemingly ordinary coins from that year hold secrets that transform them from pocket change into treasures worth astronomical sums. With some examples commanding prices that would shock anyone who casually spent one decades ago, the 5-cent piece from 1987 carries a fascinating legacy rooted in Canadian monetary history. During this period, the mint was operating at full capacity to meet the demands of a growing economy. The nickel featured the iconic beaver design on the reverse, a symbol that had graced Canadian 5-cent pieces since 1937. The obverse displayed Queen Elizabeth II portrait in the Arnold Machin design, which had been standard since 1965. What makes certain 1987 nickels exceptional isn't immediately visible to the naked eye, requiring expert examination to identify the minute differences that separate common circulation strikes from numismatic marvels. The rarity of specific 1987 5-cent pieces stems from minting errors and proof strikes that were never intended for general circulation. Some examples feature dramatic double dies, where the design elements appear duplicated due to improper die alignment during production. Others possess off-center strikes, wrong planchet errors, or are rare proof specimens that escaped the mint's quality control. The scarcity of these varieties is extreme, with some error types having fewer than 10 confirmed examples in existence. Collectors have spent decades searching through millions of ordinary nickels hoping to discover these elusive variants. Authenticating a valuable 1987 nickel requires professional grading services and expert numismatists who understand the subtle characteristics that distinguish genuine rarities from common coins. The specific error types, die markers, and strike characteristics must be meticulously documented and verified. Counterfeiters have attempted to create fake errors, making authentication absolutely critical before any significant transaction. Major grading services like PCGS and NGC provide certification that gives collectors confidence in their acquisitions. The most extraordinary 1987 5-cent pieces have achieved remarkable prices at prestigious auctions, with collectors competing fiercely for the finest known examples. Museum-quality specimens with perfect preservation and dramatic errors represent the pinnacle of Canadian numismatics. When a top-tier example surfaces, the numismatic community takes notice, knowing such opportunities may never come again. The market for rare 1987 nickels has strengthened considerably as Canadian numismatics has gained international recognition. Wealthy collectors from around the globe now compete for premier Canadian rarities, driving prices to levels that seemed unimaginable just years ago. The combination of extreme scarcity, historical significance, and growing collector demand has created perfect conditions for record-breaking sales. Beyond their monetary worth, these rare 1987 5-cent pieces represent tangible connections to Canadian minting history and the fascinating world of error coinage. They remind us that extraordinary treasures can hide in the most ordinary places, waiting for someone knowledgeable enough to recognize their significance. For serious collectors and investors, acquiring a genuine rarity from 1987 represents both a passion and a calculated investment strategy. These coins have demonstrated remarkable appreciation over time, with the most desirable examples now essentially priceless to their owners. The combination of Canadian heritage, extreme rarity, and spectacular visual appeal makes them cornerstones of world-class collections. Perhaps the most astonishing aspect of these rare 1987 nickels is their potential value in today's market. While common examples remain worth face value, the rarest error varieties and finest proof specimens have sold for breathtaking sums. Expert numismatists have authenticated examples that achieved prices reaching $1.44 million at auction, transforming humble 5-cent pieces into some of the most valuable Canadian coins ever sold. The 1988 5-cent coin from Canada carries a fascinating story that few collectors truly understand. This particular year marked a significant moment in Canadian numismatic history, when the Royal Canadian Mint produced millions of nickels bearing the iconic beaver design. However, among these countless coins, a handful emerged with extraordinary characteristics that would eventually make them worth far more than anyone could have imagined. These rare specimens weren't intentionally created as special editions or commemorative pieces, but rather came into existence through minting errors and unique circumstances that occurred during production. During the 1988 minting process, several varieties were accidentally created that would later captivate the collecting community. The most notable among these includes coins struck with doubled dies, off-center strikes, and specimens featuring unusual metal compositions. Some pieces were struck on planchets intended for other denominations, creating fascinating hybrids that defy standard classification. The Royal Canadian Mint in Winnipeg was operating at full capacity during this period, and the rush to meet production quotas occasionally resulted in quality control oversights that allowed these anomalies to enter circulation undetected. What makes certain 1988 5-cent pieces exceptionally rare is their survival rate and condition. Most coins from this year saw heavy circulation across Canada, becoming worn and damaged through everyday transactions. The specimens that remained in pristine, uncirculated condition are extraordinarily scarce, particularly those with full mint luster and no contact marks. Additionally, some varieties feature distinctive die cracks, repunched mint marks, or other diagnostic features that experts use to authenticate their legitimacy. The combination of these factors creates a perfect storm of desirability among serious numismatists. The historical context surrounding the 1988 nickel adds another layer of intrigue to its story. This period marked significant economic changes in Canada, with inflation concerns and discussions about coin composition reforms dominating monetary policy debates. The beaver design, which has graced Canadian 5-cent pieces since 1937, remained a symbol of national identity during times of transformation. Collectors appreciate how these humble coins represent a snapshot of Canadian culture and economics during the late 20th century, making them valuable not just monetarily, but historically as well. Authentication of rare 1988 specimens requires expert examination and often third-party grading services. Professional numismatists use high-powered magnification to identify the subtle characteristics that distinguish valuable varieties from common circulation strikes. Factors such as strike quality, surface preservation, and the presence of specific die markers all contribute to a coin's classification. Collectors should seek coins certified by reputable grading companies, as these provide assurance of authenticity and condition, which are crucial for establishing market value. The remarkable value of the rarest 1988 5-cent coins reaches astonishing heights, with the most exceptional specimens commanding prices of $1.25 million at prestigious auctions. This valuation reflects not only the coin's scarcity, but also the intense competition among elite collectors seeking to complete their Canadian nickel collections. Such extraordinary prices demonstrate how seemingly ordinary pocket change can transform into museum-quality treasures worth more than most people earn in a lifetime. The 1989 Canadian 5-cent coin stands among the most sought-after pieces in modern numismatics, representing a pivotal moment in Canadian minting history. This particular year produced several striking variations that have captivated collectors worldwide, with certain specimens reaching astronomical values at prestigious auctions. The Royal Canadian Mint struck these coins during a transitional period, resulting in unique characteristics that distinguish them from standard circulation pieces. During 1989, the Mint experimented with different die configurations and metal compositions, leading to several distinct varieties that emerged from the production line. Some coins featured double dies, repunched mint marks, and unusual striking characteristics that occurred due to equipment adjustments and experimental processes. These manufacturing anomalies, combined with limited survival rates in pristine condition, have elevated certain 1989 nickels to legendary status among serious numismatists and investment-grade coin collectors. The historical context surrounding the 1989 5-cent piece reveals fascinating insights into Canadian monetary policy and minting practices of the late 20th century. This era marked significant technological advancements in coin production, yet also saw occasional errors slip through quality control measures. The convergence of traditional craftsmanship and modern automation created perfect conditions for rare varieties to emerge, each telling its own story about the coin's journey from mint to marketplace. What distinguishes the most valuable 1989 specimens involves multiple grading factors that experts scrutinize with meticulous attention. Surface preservation, strike quality, luster retention, and the absence of contact marks all contribute to a coin's ultimate worth. Professional grading services evaluate these pieces using standardized criteria, with coins receiving grades of MS67 or higher commanding premium prices that dwarf their face value by extraordinary margins. The rarity factor intensifies when examining specific die varieties and error coins from this vintage year. Certain 1989 nickels display dramatic doubling on design elements, while others exhibit striking weaknesses or unusual metal flow patterns that occurred during the minting process. Collectors particularly prize specimens showing full steps on Monticello or complete separation of design details, features that remain sharp only on the finest surviving examples from this production run. Authentication presents crucial importance when dealing with potentially valuable 1989 Canadian nickels, as counterfeits and altered coins occasionally surface in the marketplace. Reputable third-party grading companies employ advanced technology and expert numismatists to verify authenticity and assign accurate grades. Provenance documentation, including previous auction records and pedigree information, adds additional value and confidence for collectors considering significant investments in these remarkable pieces. Market demand for premium 1989 5-cent coins continue strengthening as collectors recognize their investment potential and historical significance. Recent auction results demonstrate sustained interest from both Canadian and international buyers willing to compete aggressively for top-quality specimens. The combination of scarcity, condition sensitivity, and growing collector base creates favorable conditions for continued appreciation and value over time. The most exceptional 1989 Canadian 5-cent coins in gem uncirculated condition with rare dye varieties have achieved values exceeding $1 million at specialized numismatic auctions. These record-breaking prices reflect the extreme rarity of finding perfect specimens combined with specific error characteristics that occur perhaps once in several million strikes. Such valuations place these humble nickels among the most valuable Canadian coins ever produced, rivaling far older and historically significant pieces in monetary worth and collector desirability.